What do the following have in common? An ancient forest which bursts into 1,000 colors every autumn. A broken coast which is gradually losing its battle against the sea. A fantastic double wall which defends no territory. A piece of the Sahara Desert in Europe. An exclusive residential area for storks. Or a mine with amazing formations that are worth their salt. The answer is that all form part of the most spectacular natural spaces in Spain. Volcanoes, one of the most powerful forces in nature. Over millions of years, volcanoes have transformed the Earth by creating new territories. As beautiful as they are fearsome, their power has been petrified in landscapes which speak to us of a very stormy past. In the center of the island of Tenerife, El Teide raises its imposing silhouette. This mountain and the whole island are the result of the various volcanic processes which have occurred here. El Teide National Park is an extraordinary geological treasure. One of the most spectacular demonstrations of volcanism anywhere in the world. Rocks demolished by erosion. Volcanic cones, craters, chimneys, and huge rivers of petrified lava create an impressive landscape of forms and colors. such as the ruins of the Royal Munitions Factory of Orbaiceta, a treasure of the industrial architecture of the late 18th century. In its day, this arms factory was the most important in Spain. Its proximity to the border made it the objective of the numerous confrontations between the Spanish and the French. Irati is not only its trees, it also has mountains, meadows, and an age-old history and culture, as is shown by its cromlech and dolmens, sacred monuments erected by the people who inhabited this area in the Neolithic. The Irati Forest is of great environmental richness. Beeches, oaks, firs, willows, ferns, and mosses serve as a refuge for and are the habitat of red deer, roe deer, and other animals. It also has a rich and varied flora. Irati is an area of spectacular beauty, which is enhanced by the warm tones of autumn, by the sun caressing the tops of its centenary trees, and by the constant presence of water. A jungle of light and color to lose yourself in. We still have many incredible places to visit, such as this impressive cape, which hides quite a few secrets. A small mountain range, which every spring is full of flowers of astonishing beauty. Or this ancient seabed, which has now become a truly spectacular landscape. A place with stone animals, and animals on the stones. Because here, the stones play the leading role. The very name of the whole of Europe. Small red patches reveal the presence of Montpellier maples, which here and there splash the green hillsides. We are here in the Sierra del Montsec, near the Pyrenees of Aragon. Here is hidden one of the most amazing and little-known places of the geography of Spain. In the extreme west of this calcareous mountain range, the Canelles Reservoir forms a natural border between Catalonia and Aragon. Its fine turquoise waters sealed the fate of Finestres. This village, which was abandoned in the 1960s when all its croplands were flooded, is being gradually stifled by vegetation. Of Finestres, only a few houses in ruins remain. But it is not its charm which attracts visitors, but rather something right next to it. A unique geological formation, Los Roques de la Vila, popularly known as the Finestres Wall of China. Two quite vertical stone walls run parallel for over 800 meters. A natural monument which inevitably recalls the great man-made construction. This is one of the most northerly points of Spain. A steep coast of extraordinary geological, ornithological, and landscape value. A place where the Atlantic Ocean and the Cantabrian Sea meet. Cape Ortegal. With a height of 13 meters, the Cabo Ortegal lighthouse towers above the rocks and cliffs to mark the starting point of the feared coast of death of Galicia. From here, it is possible to contemplate a wide marine panorama. To the east, the Ortegal estuary. And to the west, the impressive cliffs of the Sierra da Capelada. Opposite the cape rise up a series of small islets. or saguillons. These rocky places appear to be a natural extension of the cape, but are, however, very different from the surrounding landscape. Because these sharp projections hold a secret. Their black granite rocks are much older than Cape Ortegal. Indeed, at 1.16 billion years of age, these are among the most ancient rocks on the Iberian Peninsula and among the oldest in the world. A geological treasure on which lives another natural and gastronomical treasure, the sought-after barnacles. The presence of these crustaceans and the abundant fish shoals make this spot a marvelous, albeit dangerous area for fishing. Cape Ortegal is a site of great ornithological importance. In spring, its cliffs are taken by hundreds of yellow-legged gulls, as well as by other species. In autumn, thousands of birds pass through on migration. From the lighthouse towards the west, the cliffs gradually gain height over the Atlantic to reach their highest point at the Vixia Herbeira. With its 613 meters, it is the highest coastal cliff in Spain and in continental Europe. A spectacular environment with a varied vegetation where it is easy to find wild horses. Cape Ortegal is a natural space in La Coruña province which surprises us with its peculiarities, with the antiquity of its rocks, and with the height of its cliffs. But above all, with the strength and beauty of its landscapes. Although Murcia is an attractive destination for beach lovers, inland it hides true natural treasures. Treasures such as the reserve of Sierra Espuña, a mountainous massif located in the heart of the region of Murcia. This abrupt landscape, with peaks of over 1,500 meters in height, surprises us with spectacular images, such as the walls of Leyva, a perpendicular limestone rock wall which extends for over 2 kilometers. But the best is yet to come. At the foot of the Sierra Espuña and its dense pine woods, a peculiar landscape opens up which seems to have come from another planet. The Ravines of Gebas. We see opening up before us a panorama of canyons and ravines, lands of limestone and clay modeled by wind and water into a tangle of twisted forms. A labyrinth with no way out, sketched by the waters of the reservoir of Algeciras. This is one of the most beautiful places to contemplate what is known as Badlands. an arid landscape which has been deeply eroded owing to its sparse vegetation. A living landscape which is constantly changing. An incredible series of gullies, canyons, and whitish ravines, together with the turquoise waters of the reservoir, give this spot a great variety of colors and textures. A succession of lights and shadows in a striking lunar landscape. 10 million years ago, when the Sierra Espuña was an island, the sediments resulting from its erosion were gradually deposited on the seabed. 6 million years ago, there was a drop in sea level, and this area emerged. The old seabed began to be eroded until this natural wonder was created. A series of spectacular geological formations, steep ravines, and gullies sculpted by the torrential rains. If we take a look from any of its vantage points, we can appreciate the magnitude of the landscape and observe the wide variety of flora and fauna which is adapted to life under these harsh conditions. An environment which surprises owing to its contrasts, its sinuous shapes, and its incredible colors. A wild spot with dizzying views which will leave no one indifferent. We have visited incredible places, but we still have many more to discover. A beautiful coast with a geological variety unique in Europe awaits us. And a peculiar salt mountain which is as incredible on the outside as it is on the inside. Near the town of Olivenza, in the province of Badajoz, a limestone formation rises above the predominant plain. This is the Sierra de Alor, a place with a great richness of flora and fauna, where Mediterranean woodland is mixed with pasture lands, croplands, and the open oak groves called dehesas. This little Garden of Eden shows its luxuriance with multiple shades of green. A beauty which reaches its height each spring. Hidden among the vegetation, hundreds of peonies burst forth every April to fill everywhere with bright colors. The abundance of peonies, with their flowers of deep pink or fuchsia and their yellow stamens, make this natural environment a riot for the senses. The peony is endemic to the Iberian Peninsula and may attain almost a meter in height. Yet it is scarce, as it requires very special conditions in order to grow. It likes shady and stony places with a lot of humidity and vegetation. The vitality and colour which do peonies proud contrast with their delicate flowering, which lasts only a few days. A sea alongside the sea. A wavy sea of sand, which is never still. The dunes of Maspalomas are a natural space which is unique in Spain. A piece of desert located on the southern part of the island of Gran Canaria. A magical spot which seems to have a life of its own. The persistent wind sketches this landscape with subtle strokes. An amalgam of shapes which begin to appear with slight nuances of yellow and gold, in contrast to the intense blue of sea and sky. "400 hectares of nature reserve, which extend from the Maspalomas lighthouse to Englishman's Beach. A mixture of desert and oasis, formed by the dunes, a palm grove, and a lagoon, which create a series of ecosystems of exceptional natural value, with many animal and plant species. This series of dunes was formed by the mixing of minerals eroded from the nearby ravines, together with organic remains such as shells of mollusks which were swept away by the sea over the centuries. The mounds of sand were subsequently colonized by plants, which generated the dunes in the form of small barriers. The trade winds are responsible for pushing the sand inland and displacing the dunes, which move several meters a year. A living system which reaches maturity when the dune attains 20 meters in height and 200 meters in length. The natural space of the dunes of Maspalomas is one of the most emblematic in the Canary Islands, and also one of its major tourist attractions. Thousands of people visit this little Sahara desert in the Canaries every year. Walking through its sea of dunes is quite an experience. A place full of tracks and striations which last scarcely an instant. And of silhouettes which move and change before our eyes without ever losing their beauty. An ethereal landscape which is created and destroyed each instant. An amazing spot where we can almost see the wind. From on high, their castle still watches over what was their most prized possession, the infinite salt mountain. With the introduction of gunpowder, the open-cast mine became an underground concern. Tunnels and galleries were opened to a depth of over 1 kilometer before closure in 1990. Nowadays, the site has become a tourist attraction. A visit to the cultural park of the Salt Mountain allows exploration of 500 meters of over 300 kilometers of galleries excavated. To penetrate its interior is to discover a fantastic landscape invented by nature. Layers of earth and salt are folded in impossible ways and in striking colors to create a dream landscape which is intensified by the contrast of whites and ochres. The stalactites and stalagmites created by the incessant dripping of salt water over time grow until they meet to create magnificent salt columns. This fascinating place is constantly changing, as in contrast to most caves in which the formations take hundreds of years to develop, here they do so very quickly. As can be observed by this broken ladder, which was abandoned by the last miners. The narrow galleries open out into the first of the two large halls which can be visited, the Coral Hall, which is so called owing to the close similarity between the salt formations and sea corals. The second is the so-called Sistine Chapel, a large chamber of impressive beauty covered with a wide variety of shapes from the walls to the cupola. The exceptional geology of this outstanding site makes a visit to the Salt Mountain a must. The rains which erode the terrain allow the salt to continue to find a way to reach the surface. So this small hill grows each year as if it aspires to become a real mountain one day. If landscapes could talk, this one would have a lot to tell us. A shoreline of barely 20 kilometers where the Cantabrian coast breaks into pieces. A wild territory. A rough and magnificent horizon. And a succession of geological shapes which reveal secrets about the evolution of our planet. Standing facing the sea in the Costa Quebrada Geopark is a unique sensation. There is no other place in Europe with such a geological variety in such a small area. This natural landscape extends from the city of Santander to the dunes of Liencres Nature Reserve. Through its orography, we can see the signs of the untiring struggle between the sea and the land. A long struggle over millions of years, which allows us to feel geology in action. 40 million years ago, thick layers of sediment from the Cretaceous emerged from the depths of the sea owing to tectonic thrust, a force which even tilted the strata into a vertical position. Marine erosion gradually sculpted this new landscape to create impressive sharp-pointed cliffs, coves, dunes, arches, and great rock walls. The ceaseless swell slowly eroded the softest rocks to cut back the coastline. But the hardest rocks have survived the onslaught of the sea. These small islands running parallel to the coast, which the locals call urros, are the distinguishing mark of the Costa Quebrada. The famous urros of Liencres rise invincible like fragments of a wall which attempts to contain the attacks of the Cantabrian Sea. Throughout the geopark, The cliffs are interrupted by small coves and beaches of great beauty. A space full of surprising spots such as the Portio Beach and its flysch formations. Layers of sediment which, like pages of a book, tell us of the geological past of this site. Remnants of ancient tropical reefs, beaches, forests, and marine ecosystems remain in these rocks, frozen in time. Arnia Beach is one of the most popular spots in the geopark and allows enjoyment of the Costa Quebrada in all its splendor. By walking on the paths which follow the cliffs and enjoying its beautiful beaches, or the fading light at dusk, we can take in the magic of this place. These landscapes, permanent to our eyes but constantly changing, tell us of the force of the sea and nature, of the passage of time, of the brevity of our existence, and of how lucky we are to be here right now contemplating them. In our next program, we will travel to new incredible natural spaces, such as the largest delta in Spain, a real paradise for bird lovers. What is probably the most spectacular karst landscape in Europe. A romantic place with water as the protagonist, which will amaze you. Or this natural treasure, which despite its small size, is the largest in the world. You won't want to miss it.